Lee Tae-ho stared out the window of the human transport ship as it approached Valara Prime. The alien world looked like a giant crystal floating in space. Tall towers made of what seemed like living glass reached up toward the stars. Blue and green lights moved through the structures like blood through veins. "First time seeing a Valerian city?" asked Captain Park Do-hyun, walking up beside him. Do-hyun had been Tae-ho's friend since their military days together. "It's beautiful," Tae-ho said. "But I keep thinking about the engineering. How do those towers stay up? What holds them together?" Do-hyun laughed. "You're an engineer first, diplomat second. That's why they picked you for this mission." The ship docked at a platform that seemed to grow from the city itself. As they stepped out, Tae-ho felt the strange sensation of walking on something alive. The floor had a slight give to it, like walking on thick carpet. Ambassador Kim Hye-jin met them at the dock. She was an older woman who had spent years preparing for this first meeting between humans and Valerians. "Remember," she told Tae-ho, "the Valerians have very strict rules about honor and tradition. Don't touch anything unless they say it's okay. Don't speak unless spoken to during the ceremony, and whatever happens, stay calm." Tae-ho nodded. He had studied Valerian customs for months. The aliens had only recently agreed to meet with humans. After centuries of isolation, nobody wanted to mess this up. They walked through corridors that glowed with soft light. The walls seemed to pulse gently like they were breathing. Tae-ho couldn't help but notice stress fractures in some of the material. His engineer's eye saw problems everywhere. The royal reception hall was enormous. The ceiling reached up so high that Tae-ho couldn't see the top. Hundreds of Valerians stood in perfect lines, their skin glowing with different colors. When they were happy, they glowed warm colors like gold and orange. When they were sad or angry, they turned blue or purple. At the far end of the hall sat the royal family. The emperor was ancient, his skin a deep silver color. Prince Kale stood beside the throne, tall and proud, glowing a suspicious purple color as he watched the humans enter. But it was Princess Naya who caught Tae-ho's attention. She wore flowing robes made of the same crystalline material as the city. Her skin glowed a soft pink color, which Tae-ho had learned meant curiosity. Unlike the others, she was looking directly at the human delegation, studying them. The ceremony began with long speeches in the Valerian language. A translator whispered the words into Tae-ho's ear. The emperor welcomed the humans but spoke mostly about Valerian greatness and traditions that went back thousands of years. Tae-ho tried to pay attention, but he kept noticing the ceiling. The support beams were beautiful, curved like tree branches, but they were cracking. He could see stress points where the biomaterial was failing. Halfway through the emperor's speech, Tae-ho heard a sound like breaking glass. He looked up and saw one of the support beams starting to bend. In seconds, it would snap and bring down a section of the ceiling right where Princess Naya was standing. Without thinking, Tae-ho broke protocol. He ran forward, pushing through the shocked Valerian guards. The beam snapped just as he reached the princess. He tackled her, knocking them both to the ground as chunks of ceiling crashed down where she had been standing. The hall went completely silent. Dust settled around them. Tae-ho found himself lying on top of the alien princess, both of them covered in debris. Her ceremonial robes had torn, and he could see the glowing markings on her shoulders and arms that were supposed to stay hidden until her coronation ceremony. Tae-ho quickly rolled away and stood up, expecting the worst. He had just violated every rule of Valerian protocol. He had touched royalty without permission. He had seen sacred markings that were forbidden to outsiders. The Valerian guards reached for their weapons. Prince Kale's skin turned dark red with rage. The entire court seemed ready to attack. But then Princess Naya started laughing. The sound was like music, light and clear. She sat up, brushing dust from her hair, still laughing. Her skin glowed bright gold, the color of pure joy. "Did you see his face?" she said to her brother in the Valerian language. "This human saw our ceiling falling before any of us did. And look." She held up a piece of the broken beam. "This biomaterial is completely degraded. How long has it Been failing without us noticing? She stood up and walked over to Taeho. Her torn robe showed the sacred markings clearly, but she didn't seem to care. "Thank you," she said in perfect human language. "You saved my life." The court gasped. No Valerian royal had ever thanked an outsider publicly, and she was speaking the human language, which was considered beneath royal dignity. "Your Highness," Taeho said carefully, "I apologize for breaking protocol. I just couldn't let you get hurt." "Protocol?" Naya picked up another piece of debris. "Our protocol nearly got me killed. This building is falling apart, and our pride won't let us admit it." Prince Kyle stepped forward, his skin still dark with anger. "Sister, you're speaking nonsense. Cover yourself. The sacred markings are just skin patterns," Naya interrupted. "They don't make me magical. They don't make our buildings stronger. Look around, brother. Look at what this human saw that we missed." Taeho looked around the hall. Now that he knew what to look for, he could see the problems everywhere. Stress fractures in the walls, sagging support beams, biomaterial that had been patched over and over again instead of properly replaced. Ambassador Kim Hyejin hurried forward, looking worried. "Princess, we deeply apologize for our representative's actions. If there's any way to make amends..." "Amends?" Naya's skin glowed even brighter. "Your representative just showed us something we've been too proud to see. Our beautiful city is dying, and we've been pretending it's fine." The Emperor finally spoke, his voice weak and tired. "Naya, return to your chambers. We will discuss this privately." But the princess didn't move. She looked directly at Taeho. "You're an engineer, aren't you? I can see it in how you look at our structures, how you knew the ceiling would fall." "Yes, Your Highness," Taeho said. "I've been studying your architecture. It's amazing, but it has problems," Naya finished. "Problems we're too proud to fix." The silence stretched on. Finally, the Emperor stood up slowly. "This ceremony is ended," he announced. "We will continue discussions tomorrow." As the crowd began to leave, Princess Naya walked close to Taeho. "Meet me in the engineering section tonight," she whispered. "There are things you need to see, things that will change everything." Taeho watched her walk away, her damaged robes trailing behind her. In that moment, he realized this mission was about to become much more complicated than anyone had planned. The next morning, Ambassador Kim Hee-jin was not happy. She paced back and forth in their temporary quarters while Taeho and Captain Park Do-hyun sat at a biomaterial table that seemed to grow from the floor. "You tackled an alien princess," Kim Hye-jin said for the 10th time. "In front of their entire court. Do you understand what could have happened?" "She would have been crushed by falling ceiling," Taeho replied calmly. "I understand that would have been much worse." Do-hyun grinned. "Besides, did you see how she reacted? That princess is nothing like what we expected." Kim Hee-jin stopped, pacing. "That's exactly what worries me. Intelligence reports said she was sheltered and traditional. Instead, she's speaking our language and questioning her own culture's protocol." Before anyone could respond, a soft chime sounded. A Valerian servant entered, bowing low. His skin glowed a nervous yellow color. "The princess requests Engineer Lee's presence in the royal workshop," the servant said in broken human language. "Immediately." Kim Hye-jin frowned. "The formal negotiations don't start until this afternoon." "Princess says is urgent," the servant replied. "Building matters." Taeho stood up. "I should go. If there's a structural emergency, take Do-hyun with you," Kim Hye-jin ordered. "And be careful. Something about this feels wrong." The servant led them through corridors Taeho hadn't seen before. These passages were clearly older, with biomaterial that looked strained and overused. Patches covered obvious weak spots, and the lighting was dimmer. "This city is in worse shape than I thought," Do-hyun whispered. They arrived at a large workshop filled with tools that looked like crosses between machines and living things. Princess Naya was waiting for them, but she looked different. Instead of royal robes, she wore simple work clothes. Her glowing markings were visible on her arms and neck. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I need to show you something, but first I need to know I can trust you." "Your Highness," Taeho began, but she held up her hand. Please, just call me Naya. What I'm about to show you could be considered treason by some of my people. She led them to a wall covered with technical drawings. But these weren't Valerian biodesigns, they were mechanical blueprints drawn in human style. You've been studying our engineering methods, Do-hyun said, surprised. For 3 years, Naya admitted. Ever since we first detected your ships, I've been learning everything I could about human construction techniques. Tae-ho studied the drawings. They were incredibly detailed plans for reinforcing Valerian biostructures with mechanical supports. This is brilliant work, he said. But why hide it? Naya's skin dimmed to a sad blue color. Because admitting our biotechnology isn't perfect would be the same as admitting our entire civilization is built on lies. She walked to another wall and activated a holographic display. It showed a cross-section of the entire city. Look at this, she said. Every major structure is failing. The biomaterial is breaking down faster than it can repair itself. We've been patching and hiding the problems for decades. Tae-ho stared at the display in shock. The damage was everywhere. Support columns that were hollow inside. Walls held up by nothing but pride and prayer. The beautiful floating city was slowly collapsing. How long do you have? And he asked. Maybe 5 years before major sections start falling, Naya said. Maybe 10 if we're lucky. Why not rebuild? Use better materials? Because that would mean admitting our ancestors made mistakes, Naya explained. Valerian society believes our biotechnology is perfect. Changing it would be like saying our entire culture is wrong. Do-hyun shook his head. Pride is going to kill your whole civilization. Not if I can help it, Naya said firmly. That's why I need your help. Human engineering could save us, but it has to be done secretly. Before Tae-ho could respond, they heard footsteps in the corridor. Naya quickly shut off the holographic display. Hide, she whispered urgently. Tae-ho and Do-hyun ducked behind a large biofabricator just as Prince Kale entered the workshop. His skin was glowing an angry red color. Sister, what are you doing here? He demanded. Working on some royal projects, Naya said casually. Nothing that would interest you. Kyle walked around the workshop examining the tools and drawings. His eyes stopped on the human-style blueprints. What are these? He asked suspiciously. Just sketches, Naya said. I was curious about different design styles. Kale's skin grew darker. Curious about alien designs? Sister, you're starting to worry me. First you embarrass yourself at the ceremony. Now you're playing with foreign ideas. Maybe foreign ideas are exactly what we need, Naya shot back. Listen, to yourself. Kyle slammed his hand on the workbench. You sound like you want to abandon everything our people have built. I want to save what our people have built. Naya's skin flared bright gold with passion. And that means being smart, enough to accept help when we need it. Kale stared at his sister for a long moment. Father is right to be concerned about you. This human contact is changing you in dangerous ways. Maybe change is good, Naya said quietly. Maybe that's what we need to survive. After Kale left, Tae-ho and Do-hyun came out of hiding. Naya looked exhausted, her skin a dull gray color. He suspects something, she said. We need to move carefully. There might be another way, Tae-ho said. What if we could demonstrate human engineering publicly? Show your people that combining our technologies could work? How? Any public demonstration would have to be approved by the High Council and they would never agree to it. Do-hyun grinned. What about an emergency? If something went wrong during a public event and human engineering saved the day? Naya stared at him. You're talking about sabotage. No, Tae-ho said slowly. We're talking about exposing problems that already exist. Your city is falling apart. We just need to make sure the right people see it when it happens. Naya was quiet for a long time, her skin shifting through different colors as she thought. There's a festival of lights next week, she said finally. Thousands of people gather in the main plaza. If something went wrong there, we could be ready with a solution, Tae-ho finished. But it would be dangerous. If we're caught, if we do nothing, my entire civilization dies slowly, Naya said. At least this way, we have a chance. She walked to a cabinet and pulled out more blueprints. These showed the plaza's support structure in detail. "If you're serious about this," she said, "we need to start planning now, and we'll need help from other humans." Taeho looked at Do-hyun, who nodded. "All right," Taeho said. "Let's save a civilization." As they bent over the blueprints, none of them noticed the small biosensor hidden in the wall. In another part of the palace, High Counselor Vex watched their meeting through the sensor's feed. His skin glowed a deep, satisfied purple. "Perfect," he whispered to himself. "Let them try their little demonstration. It will be the perfect opportunity to expose the princess as a traitor and end this dangerous alliance with the humans forever." The Festival of Lights was the most important celebration in Valerian culture. For 3 days, the entire city glowed with bioluminescent displays that could be seen from space. Citizens gathered in the main plaza to watch dancing lights tell stories of their ancient history. Taeho stood in the crowd with Ambassador Kim Hyejin and several other humans. They had been given places of honor near the royal viewing platform, but Taeho's attention was on the massive support pillars that held up the plaza's canopy. "You look nervous," Kim Hyejin whispered. "I should be," Taeho replied. "If this goes wrong, we could start a war." Above them, Princess Naya sat with her family on the royal platform. She wore traditional festival robes that sparkled with embedded bio-lights, but Taeho could see the tension in her posture. Captain Park Do-hyun was positioned near the emergency supplies they had hidden around the plaza. The ceremony began with the traditional lighting of the Great Spiral, a massive bioluminescent structure that rose from the center of the plaza. As it came to life, waves of colored light spread outward through the crowd. The Valerians raised their voices in an ancient song that made their skin glow in harmony with the lights. It was beautiful, but Taeho knew it was also putting enormous stress on the plaza's already weakened structure. The vibrations from the crowd singing, combined with the energy flowing through the biolight system, were pushing the support pillars beyond their limits. High Counselor Vex stood at the edge of the royal platform, speaking into a small communication device. Taeho couldn't hear the words, but he could see that Vex's skin was glowing a satisfied purple color. Something was wrong. The first sign of trouble came when one of the biolight displays flickered and went dark. Then another. The crowd murmured in confusion as sections of the Great Spiral began to fail. "That's not supposed to happen," Kim Hyejin said. Taeho felt his blood run cold. This wasn't the controlled demonstration they had planned. Someone else was sabotaging the festival. On the royal platform, Vex stepped forward and raised his voice. "Citizens of Valara, we are experiencing technical difficulties because our sacred biotechnology has been contaminated by alien influence." The crowd's murmur turned into angry shouts. Some Valerians turned to glare at the human delegation. "The royal family has been corrupted by these invaders," Vex continued. "They have allowed foreign ideas to poison our perfect systems." Taeho realized what was happening. Vex had discovered their plan and decided to use it for his own purposes. By sabotaging the festival himself, he could blame the humans and turn the people against the alliance. But Vex had made one mistake. In his eagerness to create chaos, he had pushed the damaged systems too far. The support pillars weren't just failing slowly, they were about to collapse catastrophically. "Do-hyun!" Taeho shouted over the noise of the crowd. "Emergency protocols now!" His friend was already moving, running toward their hidden supply caches, but they were running out of time. A deep cracking sound echoed across the plaza. One of the main support pillars developed a visible fracture that spread upward like lightning. The royal platform swayed dangerously. The crowd panicked. Thousands of Valerians tried to flee at once, but the exits were too narrow. People were getting trampled in the chaos. Taeho pushed through the mob toward the damaged pillar. He had mechanical support braces hidden nearby, but setting them up would take precious minutes they didn't have. "Naya!" he called out. "Get your family off the platform!" But the princess wasn't running. Instead, she was climbing down from the royal platform toward him. "What are you doing?" he shouted. "Helping," she called back. "Tell me what to do." There was no time to argue. I need you to guide the evacuation while I try to stabilize this pillar. Naya nodded and ran toward the panicking crowd. Her skin blazed with bright golden light as she raised her voice in the traditional royal command tone. Citizens, form orderly. Lines, help the elderly and children first. Follow the emergency exits. Her authoritative presence began to calm the crowd. People stopped pushing and started helping each other instead. Meanwhile, Tae-ho and Do-hyun worked frantically to install mechanical braces around the failing pillar. The biomaterial was crumbling in their hands, but the metal supports might be able to hold it together long enough for everyone to escape. It's not going to be enough, Do-hyun shouted over the noise of cracking stone. Tae-ho looked up at the massive pillar. Do-hyun was right. Their braces could slow the collapse, but not stop it. They needed something more. That's when Naya appeared beside him carrying an armload of biorepair gel from the emergency supplies. This can bond with your metal supports, she said. If we apply it correctly, it might create a hybrid structure, strong enough to hold. That's never been tested, Tae-ho said.
Then we'll test it now, Naya replied firmly. Working together, they began applying the biogel to the joints where the metal braces met the biomaterial pillar. The alien substance seemed to recognize the metal as foreign but somehow compatible.
It began to form connections, creating a new kind of composite structure. Around them, the evacuation continued. Prince Kale had joined his sister in directing the crowd, despite his obvious anger at the situation. Even the Emperor had come down from his platform to help coordinate the emergency response. But High Counselor Vex was nowhere to be seen. There. Do-hyun pointed to a service tunnel. I saw him go that way. Let him go, Naya said grimly. We have bigger problems right now. She was right. A second pillar was starting to show stress fractures, and this one was too far away for them to reach in time. We need more people, Tae-ho said. More hands to set up braces. I can get them, Naya said. She turned to the crowd and switched to the Valerian language, speaking rapidly to a group of construction workers who had been helping with the evacuation. At first, the workers hesitated. Taking orders from aliens went against everything they had been taught. But as they looked at the failing structure and saw how the human Valerian repairs were actually working, their practical instincts took over. Soon, teams of humans and Valerians were working together throughout the plaza, installing hybrid supports on every damaged structure. The biogel and mechanical braces created connections that were stronger than either technology alone. As the sun set, the immediate crisis was over. The plaza was stabilized and all the citizens had been evacuated safely. But the political crisis was just beginning. Emperor Jorak stood in the middle of the plaza, looking at the hybrid supports that had saved thousands of lives. His skin was a confused mixture of colors, grateful gold mixed with troubled purple. Daughter, he said to Naya, explain to me how you knew how to do this. Naya stood straight and proud, her skin glowing steady gold. Because I've been studying human engineering for 3 years, Father. Because I knew our systems were failing and I was trying to find solutions. You conspired with aliens behind our backs, Prince Kale accused. I conspired with allies to save our people, Naya shot back. And it worked. Ambassador Kim Hye-jin stepped forward carefully. Your Majesty, our engineer acted to prevent a disaster. We had no intention of causing trouble. The trouble was already here, the Emperor said quietly. We just refused to see it. He walked over to one of the hybrid supports and touched it gently. The biogel had bonded so completely with the metal that it was impossible to tell where one ended and the other began. This is not Valerian technology, he said, and it is not human technology. It is something new. Tae-ho spoke up. Your Majesty, Princess Naya created this solution. She understood both systems well enough to make them work together. Without her, we never could have saved the plaza. The Emperor looked at his daughter for a long moment. Is this what you want, Naya? To change everything our people have believed for centuries? I want our people to survive, Father, she replied. If that means changing our beliefs, then yes. The Emperor's skin slowly shifted to a deep, thoughtful blue. Then perhaps it is time for this old man to learn some new ideas. The days after the Festival of Lights were tense. News of the hybrid repairs spread throughout the Valerian Empire, creating two clear sides. Some Valerians saw the success as proof that cooperation with humans could benefit everyone. Others viewed it as contamination of their pure culture. Tai-Ho stood in the royal workshop with Naya, examining plans for expanding the hybrid technology to other parts of the city. Her skin had been glowing a determined gold color for days, but he could see the strain in her eyes. "Your brother still won't speak to you," he observed. "Kyle thinks I've betrayed everything our family stands for," Naya said sadly. "He's not entirely wrong. I have challenged traditions that go back thousands of years, but you saved thousands of lives. That doesn't matter to the traditionalists. High Counselor Vex has been holding secret meetings with military commanders. My sources say he's planning something." As if summoned by her words, Captain Park Do-hyun burst into the workshop. "We have a problem," he announced. "Vex just declared the royal family unfit to rule. He's claiming the emperor has been compromised by alien influence." Naya's skin flashed bright red with anger. "He can't do that. The military swore loyalty. To my father." "Not all of them," Do-hyun said grimly. "About half the guard units have sided with Vex. They're calling it the Purity Movement." Tai-Ho felt his stomach drop. "What about the other half?" "Still loyal to your family, but barely. And they're outnumbered." Through the workshop's bioglass windows, they could see smoke rising from the lower city. The sound of distant explosions echoed through the walls. "They're attacking the hybrid support structures," Naya realized. "Vex is trying to bring down the repairs we made. If those supports fail, entire sections of the city will collapse," Tai-Ho said. "That's probably what he wants," Do-hyun replied. "He can blame the disaster on alien technology and justify expelling all humans from Valerian space." Alarms began sounding throughout the palace. Naya ran to a communication panel and activated it. Prince Kale's face appeared on the screen, his skin dark with worry. "Sister, where are you?" he demanded. "Vex's forces are surrounding the palace. Father is trying to negotiate, but they want you and the humans handed over as prisoners. I won't hide while my people suffer," Naya said firmly. "You'll be dead if you don't hide," Kale shot back. "Vex has convinced half the population that you're some kind of traitor. They want your execution." The communication screen flickered and went dark. A moment later they heard the sound of energy weapons firing somewhere in the palace. "The shooting has started," Do-hyun said. "We need to get to the human delegation and evacuate." "No," Naya said. "If we run now, Vex wins. The alliance fails, and my people die slowly as their city crumbles around them." "What do you suggest?" Tai-Ho asked. Naya walked to a wall panel and activated a holographic display showing the entire city. Red markers indicated where the Purity Movement forces were, attacking hybrid structures. Blue markers showed areas still controlled by loyalist troops. "We fight back," she said. "But not with weapons. With truth." She manipulated the display, zooming in on the areas under attack. "Look at this. Vex's forces are specifically targeting the strongest hybrid supports first. They know exactly which ones are most critical to the city's stability. Which means they have detailed engineering data," Tai-Ho realized. "Someone on the inside gave them our repair plans." "More than that," Naya said, her skin glowing with sudden understanding. "They know exactly how much damage they can cause without bringing down the whole city immediately. This isn't random destruction. It's calculated to create maximum terror, while keeping most of the population alive to witness it." The workshop door exploded inward. A squad of Valerian soldiers in black armor rushed in, their weapons aimed at the three of them. Their leader removed his helmet, revealing High Counselor Vex himself. "Princess Naya," Vex said mockingly, "you're a difficult person to find." "Not difficult enough, apparently," Naya replied, her skin blazing defiant gold. Vex gestured to his soldiers, who forced Tai-Ho and Do-hyun to their knees. "Your alien friends will witness your confession before they die." "What confession?" "That you betrayed your own species, that you sold Valerian secrets to these invaders, That you personally sabotaged our sacred biotechnology to make their crude, mechanical systems appear superior. Naya laughed, a sound like breaking crystal. You really think anyone will believe that? They'll believe it when they see the evidence, Vex said. He activated a holographic recorder. Tell them how you deliberately weakened our structures so the humans could play hero. I weakened nothing, Naya said steadily. Our structures were already failing. I just had the courage to admit it. Vex's skin turned dark purple with rage. Lies! Valerian biotechnology is perfect. It has sustained our civilization for millennia. It sustained our civilization when it was new, Naya corrected. But nothing lasts forever without maintenance and improvement. Our ancestors built amazing things, but they weren't gods. They made mistakes, and we've been too proud to fix them. Blasphemy! Vex raised his weapon toward her. But before he could fire, the building shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling, and several biolight panels flickered and died. What was that? One of the soldiers asked nervously. Vex activated his communicator. Command, report. The voice that answered was panicked. Sir, we have a problem. The Plaza 7 support grid just collapsed. We followed your targeting orders exactly, but the cascade failure is spreading faster than predicted. Tejo felt his blood run cold. You idiots, he said to Vex. You don't understand how interconnected these systems are. Destroy enough supports, and the whole network fails at once. Impossible, Vex snarled. Our calculations showed. Another violent shake cut him off. This time they could hear the distant rumble of falling masonry. Your calculations were wrong, Naya said quietly. Just like your politics. She touched a hidden control panel, and the workshop's emergency shields activated, trapping Vex and his soldiers inside a bioplastic barrier. The shield will hold them for a few minutes, she told Tejo and Do-hyun. But we need to get to the engineering center. If the cascade failure reaches the main power distribution network, we'll lose half the city. They ran through corridors filled with smoke and panicking Valerians. Palace guards loyal to the royal family were fighting, running battles with Vex's troops, but the outcome was far from certain. In the engineering center, they found chaos. Valerian technicians were staring at displays showing system failures throughout the city. None of them knew how to stop the spreading collapse. Move aside, Naya ordered. The technicians obeyed automatically, too shocked by the crisis to question royal authority. Tejo studied the failure cascade pattern. It's like a chain reaction, he said. Each collapse support puts more stress on the remaining ones. Can we stop it? Naya asked. Maybe, but we'd need to sacrifice some areas to save others. Cut power to the failing sections and reroute everything through the hybrid supports. Do it, Naya said without hesitation. That means abandoning the old quarter, Tejo warned. Those buildings will collapse completely. Better to lose part of the city than all of it, Naya replied. As they worked frantically to reroute power and isolate failing systems, Prince Kale appeared in the doorway. His armor was scorched and his skin was pale with exhaustion. Sister, he said quietly. Father is dead. Naya's hands froze over the controls. Her skin went completely white, the color of deepest grief. How? She whispered. Vex's soldiers stormed the throne room. Father tried to surrender to save lives, but Kale's voice broke. They killed him anyway. Tejo saw Naya's shoulders shake once. Then she straightened up, and her skin began to glow with colors he had never seen. Before, deep gold mixed with silver and blue, a combination that seemed to pulse with inner power. Then I am the Empress now, she said in a voice that carried absolute authority. And my first act is to save this city. She turned to the control panel and began implementing the emergency protocols with ruthless efficiency. Buildings were sacrificed. Power grids were rerouted. Hybrid supports became the backbone of a completely new city infrastructure, and slowly, impossibly, the cascade failure began to stop. 3 months had passed since the collapse. Tejo stood on a rebuilt balcony, looking out over what was once the old quarter of Valara Prime. Where ancient biostructures had crumbled, new buildings now rose. a blend of Valerian growth technology and human engineering that created something neither species could have achieved alone. The new structures seemed to breathe and pulse with life, but they were also solid and stable in ways the old buildings had never been. Green plants grew up the sides of metal framework while biolights provided power and beauty together. "It's not what I expected," said Ambassador Kim Hai-jin, joining him on the balcony. "But it's beautiful in its own way. It's what happens when two species stop trying to prove they're perfect and start trying to actually solve problems," Taeho replied. Below them, human and Valerian work crews labored side by side, installing the final supports for a new residential complex. The sight still amazed him. A few months ago, these two groups would have been shooting at each other. Empress Naya approached from behind, her footsteps nearly silent on the biomaterial flooring. The title still felt strange to Taeho, even though she had worn it with growing confidence since her father's death. "The Council of Elders has made their decision," she announced. "They're officially approving the hybrid construction program for the entire planet." Kim Hyejin smiled. "That's excellent news. Our engineering teams can start training more Valerian workers next week." "There's more," Naya continued. "They've also agreed to share our biotechnology patents with human colonies. Full partnership, not just limited cooperation." Taeho felt a moment of surprise. "That's a huge step. Are your people ready for that?" Naya's skin shifted to a thoughtful blue-green color. "Some are. Others will need time. But after what happened with Vex, most Valerians understand that isolation nearly destroyed us. The rebellion had ended badly for the High Counselor. When his sabotage caused the cascade failure that killed thousands of Valerians, even his supporters had turned against him. He was now in prison, awaiting trial for treason and mass murder. "What about Prince Kale?" Kim Hyejin asked. "Is he still opposed to the alliance?" "My brother has learned some difficult lessons," Naya said carefully. "He's agreed to serve as ambassador to Earth. He says he wants to understand human culture better before making judgments about it." Taeho could hear the sadness in her voice. The royal family had been torn apart by the crisis. Kyle was trying to make amends, but the relationship between the siblings would never be the same. "He'll do well on Earth," Kim Hyejin said diplomatically. "Our people appreciate honesty, even when it comes with apologies." They watched the work crews below for a while in comfortable silence. The reconstruction was progressing faster than anyone had expected. When two technologies worked together instead of competing, problems that had seemed impossible suddenly became manageable. "I need to ask you something," Naya said suddenly, looking directly at Taeho. "The Earth Council has offered you a promotion, Chief Engineering Coordinator for all human colonies in this sector. It's a very important position." Taeho had been expecting this conversation. "And you want to know if I'm going to take it?" "I want to know if you're going to leave," Naya said. Quietly, her skin had shifted to a vulnerable pink color that she usually kept hidden. The honest answer was complicated. Taeho had spent months working closely with Naya, not just as a diplomat and princess, but as a brilliant engineer and leader. Somewhere, along the way, his professional respect had become something deeper. "The position would be based here," he said, "on Valara Prime, if you would approve a permanent human embassy." Naya's skin brightened immediately. "Of course I would approve it, but are you sure? Living permanently on an alien world isn't easy. The food is different, the air is different, the social customs." "The company is excellent," Taeho said with a smile. "Besides, someone needs to keep an eye on your engineering projects. I've seen your latest plans for the floating gardens. They're brilliant, but you're trying to grow plants in zero gravity without accounting for root system expansion." "I thought I could contain the root growth with biobarriers," Naya protested. "Biobarriers that will dissolve as soon as the roots produce certain acids," Taeho pointed out. "You need mechanical containers with drainage systems." Naya laughed and her skin glowed warm gold. "See, this is exactly why I need you to stay. My people understand biotechnology, but we still have a lot to learn about mechanical integration, Captain." Park Do-hyun appeared in the doorway, grinning broadly. "Sorry to interrupt, but there's someone here who wants to speak with the Empress." Behind him came a small Valerian child, maybe 8 years old, her skin glowing bright yellow with excitement. She was carrying a device that looked like a cross between a human tablet and a living plant. "Your Majesty," the child said in careful, formal tones, "I made something for you." She held up her device proudly. "It's a biomechanical calculator. It can do human math, but it grows its own processing power from algae cells." Tejo stared at the device in amazement. The child had somehow combined electronic circuits with living biological computers. It shouldn't have been possible, but there it was, working perfectly. "This is incredible," he said. "How did you figure out the interface between the electronic and biological components?" The child beamed with pride. "I watched the construction crews working together. I thought maybe different kinds of technology could be friends, just like humans and Valerians can be friends." Naya knelt down to the child's level, her skin glowing with gentle warmth. "What's your name, little engineer?" "Mira, Your Majesty. I want to build spaceships when I grow up. Spaceships that can heal themselves if they get damaged." "That's a wonderful dream," Naya said. "Would you like to work with our human friends to make it happen?" Mira nodded enthusiastically and ran off to show her invention to other people in the palace. "That," said Kim Heejin thoughtfully, "is what the future looks like." She was right. The next generation of Valerians was growing up with hybrid technology as normal. They didn't see human engineering and Valerian bioscience as competing systems. They saw them as tools that worked better together. "Speaking of the future," Naya said, turning back to Tejo, "there's something else we need to discuss. The long-term structure of this alliance." She activated a holographic display showing star charts of the local sector. "We've received messages from other species. They've been watching our cooperation with interest. Some want to establish trade, relationships. Others are asking for help with their own infrastructure problems." Tejo studied the star chart. "How many other species are we talking about?" 17 confirmed contacts so far, and probably more to come. Kim Hye-jin whistled softly. "That's going to require a lot more diplomats and engineers. It's going to require a new way of thinking about galactic politics," Naya said. "Instead of every species trying to prove they're superior, we could have networks of cooperation, sharing knowledge and resources." "It won't be easy," Tejo warned. "Every species will have their own pride and prejudices to overcome." "But we've proved it can work," Naya replied. "When I first met you, I was a sheltered princess who had never questioned her own culture. Now I'm an empress rebuilding my civilization with alien technology. If I can change that much, anyone can." She paused, looking out over the city they had built together. "Besides," she added with a smile, "we'll have the best engineering team in the galaxy to help solve the problems." As the sun set over Valara Prime, the biolights in the hybrid buildings began to glow more brightly. The sight was nothing like the ancient festival of lights, but it was somehow more beautiful, not because it was perfect, but because it represented the possibility of constant improvement. Tejo thought about that moment months ago when he had first seen Princess Naya's reaction to having her sacred markings exposed. Instead of shame or anger, she had shown curiosity and pragmatism. That reaction had changed everything. Now, as he watched human and Valerian children playing together in the plaza below, using toys that were part mechanical and part biological, he realized that the real breakthrough hadn't been in engineering. It had been in learning to see differences as opportunities rather than threats. The future was going to be complicated and challenging, but it was also going to be extraordinary.